Tired of constant mulching, weeding, and still seeing your garden soil struggle? What if I told you there's a revolutionary way to build incredible soil fertility, year after year, without lifting a single bag of mulch? Discover my no-mulch secret that transforms your garden into a self-sustaining ecosystem. The mulch myth. Why I ditched it. For years I followed conventional gardening wisdom religiously. Every spring and fall I hauled in truckloads of wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves, spreading them several inches thick across my garden beds. The process was backbreaking, expensive, and seemingly never-ending. Just when I thought my mulch layer was adequate, it would compress, decompose, or blow away, requiring constant replenishment. The costs added up quickly, whether purchasing bagged mulch from garden centers or arranging delivery of bulk materials. Beyond the financial and physical burden, I started noticing problems that traditional mulching advice never mentioned. Thick mulch layers became highways for voles and mice, creating protected runways where these pests could move unseen between their burrows and my vegetables. Slugs and snails found perfect daytime hiding spots in the cool, damp environment beneath the mulch, emerging at night to devastate young seedlings. Wood chips occasionally developed artillery fungus, shooting spores onto nearby surfaces. Straw mulch frequently contained viable weed seeds despite assurances it was seed-free, creating more work than it saved. Most frustrating was the realization that mulch created a barrier between my soil and the atmosphere, limiting gas exchange and sometimes creating anaerobic pockets where beneficial organisms couldn't thrive. The turning point came when I visited an elderly gardener's property where vegetables grew vigorously without a single visible piece of mulch. Instead, low-growing plants carpeted every inch of soil between and around the main crops. The soil beneath this living carpet was dark, crumbly, and teeming with earthworms far superior to my heavily mulched beds. She explained that soil doesn't need a dead blanket on top. It needs living protection that actively improves conditions while suppressing weeds and retaining moisture. That conversation revolutionized my entire approach to gardening and led to the system I'm sharing with you today. Living ground covers function as dynamic mulch that provides all the benefits of traditional materials while adding capabilities that dead mulch simply cannot match. The key is selecting species that stay low to the ground, spread readily without becoming invasive nightmares, tolerate foot traffic in pathways, and ideally contribute something beneficial beyond simple soil coverage. The plants need to establish quickly enough to outcompete weeds, but remain manageable so they don't overwhelm your main crops. The establishment process is surprisingly straightforward, though it requires initial patience as plants fill in. Begin by preparing your bed as you normally would, removing existing weeds and loosening compacted soil. Instead of immediately planting your main crops wall to wall, space them slightly farther apart than usual to leave room for ground cover establishment. Between your vegetables or around your perennials, plant your chosen ground cover species, either from seed or small transplants depending on how quickly you need coverage. Alright, so you'll want to water the ground cover just like you would with any new planting until it gets established, which usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks. The benefits go way beyond just simple weed suppression, though honestly, that alone makes the whole system totally worthwhile. Living ground covers, they create these little microclimates right at soil level. That helps moderate temperature extremes, keeping the soil cooler during those summer heat waves and warmer during cold snaps. Their roots are always at work, aerating the soil, making channels for water and air to move through, and even secreting compounds that feed all sorts of beneficial microorganisms. Many ground cover species are actually able to mine minerals from deeper layers of soil and bring them up to the surface through their foliage, which eventually drops and decomposes. And the constant cycle of root growth, death, and regrowth adds organic matter right into the soil profile, exactly where it's most needed. Maybe most remarkably, that dense coverage keeps raindrops from hitting bare soil directly, which pretty much eliminates erosion and stops surface crusting that can block water from soaking in. Ground cover heroes, my top 3 picks. White clover has become my absolute favorite ground cover for vegetable gardens. And once you understand its capabilities, you'll see why it deserves a place in nearly every growing space. This low-growing legume stays under 4 inches tall, spreads through stolons to create dense mats, and most importantly, fixes atmospheric nitrogen through nodules on its roots. Every square foot of established clover adds nitrogen to your soil continuously throughout the growing season, reducing or eliminating the need for nitrogen fertilizers. The flowers attract pollinators including native bees, bringing these beneficial insects directly into your garden where they can pollinate your crops. Clover tolerates moderate foot traffic, making it excellent for pathways between beds. It thrives in full sun to partial shade and handles both moist and moderately dry conditions once established. Planting clover is as simple as broadcasting seed over prepared soil at a rate of about 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet, then raking lightly to ensure soil contact. Germination occurs within 7 to 10 days in warm soil, and you'll have decent coverage within about 6 weeks. The plants spread through the growing season, filling in any gaps and creating that living carpet we're after. When clover gets too tall or starts encroaching on your main crops, simply mow it with a string trimmer or push mower set high, leaving the nitrogen-rich clippings in place as additional mulch. The plants quickly regrow from the crown, and this periodic trimming actually encourages denser growth. Creeping thyme offers a completely different aesthetic and set of benefits that make it ideal for drier garden areas or around perennials that prefer well-drained conditions. This Mediterranean herb forms dense mats only 2 to 3 inches tall, with tiny fragrant leaves and purple, pink, or white flowers that bloom profusely in late spring. The aromatic foliage may help confuse pests seeking your vegetables, though this benefit is admittedly difficult to quantify. What's certain is that thyme's dense growth pattern effectively smothers weeds while requiring almost no maintenance once established. The plants are remarkably drought-tolerant after their first season, making them perfect for areas where water conservation is important. Starting thyme from seed can be slow, so I recommend purchasing small plants in spring and spacing them about 6 inches apart in areas where you want coverage. They'll gradually spread to touch within a growing season, creating continuous coverage by their second year. Thyme prefers full sun and excellent drainage, making it perfect for raised beds or areas where soil tends to dry out quickly. The plants require virtually no care once established, though occasional trimming after flowering helps maintain dense growth and prevents woodiness. Creeping jenny, also known as moneywort, brings vibrant chartreuse color to shaded areas where most ground covers struggle. This vigorous spreader produces round leaves on trailing stems that root at nodes, creating coverage so dense that weeds simply cannot establish. The bright foliage adds visual interest under larger plants or in areas that might otherwise look bare and neglected. In late spring, small yellow flowers appear, adding another ornamental element. Creeping jenny thrives in partial to full shade and appreciates consistent moisture, making it perfect for areas that stay damper than your main vegetable beds. The vigorous growth that makes creeping jenny so effective at weed suppression also means you need to monitor it more carefully than clover or thyme. It can become aggressive in ideal conditions, potentially overwhelming smaller plants if not kept in check. Use it in areas where you want fast, aggressive coverage, or around larger, established perennials that can hold their own. Starting from small plants spaced 12 inches apart will give you full coverage within a single season. The plants require minimal care but, they really benefit from occasional trimming to prevent them from climbing into areas where they're not wanted. The real magic happens when you view ground covers not as separate from your main crops, but as active partners in a polyculture system. When you interplant tomatoes with white clover, the clover fixes nitrogen that feeds the tomatoes, while its flowers bring in pollinators and beneficial insects. The clover's dense foliage keeps soil moist and cool around tomato roots, reducing stress during heat waves. When you plant peppers with thyme nearby, the thyme's deep roots help break up compacted soil while its aromatic foliage may help mask the pepper scent from potential pests. These companion relationships create resilience that monoculture planting simply cannot match. Maintenance, becomes remarkably minimal once your living ground cover system establishes. So, the transformation in soil quality becomes increasingly obvious over successive seasons. First-year benefits include reduced watering needs and fewer weeds, but the real magic unfolds in years 2 and 3. Soil structure improves dramatically as ground cover roots create stable aggregates that resist compaction and erosion. The constant input of root exudates feeds soil food webs, leading to increased earthworm populations and beneficial microbial diversity. You'll notice your soil becoming darker, more crumbly, and easier to work as organic matter content rises from the continuous cycle of root growth and decay. Input requirements decline steadily as the system matures. The economic benefits are equally compelling. After the initial investment in ground cover seeds or plants, the system perpetuates itself at virtually no cost. Compare this to traditional mulching, where annual expenditures for materials and delivery add up to hundreds of dollars for even modest gardens. Over a 5-year period, the savings from eliminating mulch purchases easily exceed $1,000 for an average home garden, and that's not even counting the value of your time and physical effort. Your garden is ready for this transformation right now. Whether you start with a single bed or commit to converting your entire growing space, living ground cover will fundamentally change your relationship with your soil. You'll spend less time on maintenance while watching your soil improve year after year, creating a genuinely sustainable system that gets better with age, rather than requiring constant inputs to maintain. Start this season by choosing one ground cover species that suits your conditions, plan it around your next crop, and observe the difference. Document the changes with photos and notes so you can track the improvement over time. If this no-mulch revelation has sparked your imagination and you're ready to work with living systems instead of dead materials, subscribe to the Living Soil Lab for more approaches that challenge conventional gardening wisdom while delivering superior results. We're building a community of gardeners who understand that the best gardens work with nature rather than trying to control it. Share this video with fellow gardeners who are tired of the endless mulch treadmill and ready for a genuinely sustainable solution. Your soil is alive, and now it's time to keep it covered with life that actively contributes to its health. The transformation starts today, and your future self will thank you for making the shift.